It has been illegal for Republicans to investigate voter fraud for 36 years by Sean from yournewswire.com. Since 1982, the DNC has made it illegal for any Republican citizen or candidate to audit elections on suspicion of voter fraud. Imagine my shock. So the Democrats made it illegal. Wow, isn't that something? The lawsuit filed by the DNC against the RNC 36 years ago alleged the following. The RNC allegedly created a voter challenge list by mailing sample ballots to individuals in precincts with a higher percentage of racial or ethnic minority registered voters, and then included individuals whose postcards were returned as undeliverable on a list of voters to challenge at the polls. The RNC also allegedly enlisted the help of off-duty sheriffs and police officers to intimidate voters by standing at polling places in minority precincts during voting with National Ballot Security Task Force armbands. Some of the officers allegedly wore firearms in a visible manner. Even back then, the unscrupulous DNC used the race card to falsely accuse Republicans of crimes they didn't commit. Sounds familiar? Also, that they could unfairly influence elections in the years ahead. JudicialView.com reports during the 1981 New Jersey gubernatorial election, the DNC, the New Jersey Democratic State Committee, DSC, Virginia L. Peggins and Lynette Monroe brought an action against the RNC and New Jersey Republican State Committee, RSC, John A. Kelly, Ronald Kaufman, and Alex Hurtado, alleging that the RNC and RSC targeted minority voters in an effort to intimidate them in violation of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and the 14th and 15th Amendments to the Constitution of the United States. The RNC allegedly created a voter challenge list by mailing sample ballots to individuals in precincts with a high percentage of racial or ethnic minority registered voters, and then included individuals whose postcards were returned as undeliverable on a list of voters to challenge at the polls. The RNC also allegedly enlisted the help of off-duty sheriffs and police officers to intimidate voters by standing at polling places in minority precincts during voting with National Ballot Security Task Force armbands. Some of the officers allegedly wore firearms in a visible manner. To settle the lawsuit, the RNC and RSC entered into the consent decree at issue here. The RNC and RSC agreed that they would, in the future, in all states and territories of the United States, comply with all applicable state and federal laws protecting the rights of duly qualified citizens to vote for the candidates of their choice. In the event that they produce or place any signs which are part of ballot security activities, cause said signs to disclose that they are authorized or sponsored by the party committees and any other committees participating with the party's committees. Refrain from giving any directions to or permitting their agents or employees to remove or deface any lawfully printed and placed campaign materials or signs. Refrain from giving any directions to or permitting their employees to campaign within restricted polling areas or to interrogate prospective voters as to their qualifications to vote prior to their entry to a polling place. Refrain from undertaking any ballot security activities in polling places or election districts where the racial or ethnic composition of such districts is a factor in the decision to conduct or the actual conduct of such activities there, and where a purpose or significant effect of such activities is to deter qualified voters from voting, and the conduct of such activities disproportionately in or directed towards districts that have a substantial proportion of racial or ethnic population shall be considered relevant evidence of the existence of such a factor and purpose. Refrain from having private personnel deputized as law enforcement personnel in connection with ballot security activities. So, in other words, they lost, and they gave in to all these demands, and yet that's why they have voter fraud now taking place full speed. That has been taking full speed ahead for years. That's why the Democrats win. And who approved all of these things? Why did the DNC win? Anyway, you know what the thing is? They have the system rigged to their advantage, and you're not supposed to even speak up about it. That's basically what they're saying. You can't do anything about voter fraud. Only the DNC has control. And then they're talking about, qualified voters. Yeah, but we already see from the investigations that have taken place that the DNC has voters that are illegal voting, dead people that are 116 years old, supposedly. You have the machines when people went to vote that they were pressing Trump, and Hillary was coming up, and they had to call somebody from inside to get that fixed. I mean, so listen, we know the DNC has been rigging elections for decades, you know. So this has got to stop at this point, and this whole thing has to be redone, because you can't have the DNC running rampant. Because listen, in a sense, Hillary did not even win, even come close to the numbers Trump actually got. She won the popular vote. No way. If you vote the dead people that voted, people voting in different counties 2, 3 times, multiple times. You take into consideration the voting machines that were rigged, Soros machines. It's astounding. That's why she won the popular vote. Why is it always the Democratic Party that doesn't want to get to the bottom of any kind of information to better this country? What does that tell you? It's a rigged system. They have rigged the system in their favor. And it was a divine intervention that Donald Trump won by all these votes. I mean, he really did have the votes. He really did have the votes. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.